TikToks that feel illegal to watch. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
Wow, look at that. Woo! Man. I think this is Woodstock 99. Oh my goodness. I hope everyone okay.
Guys, you will not believe this. So I'm currently in Chongqing, China.
Chongqing, China.
As you can see, it's beautiful. You've got some shops, you've got some skyscrapers, but, and it's a big but, wait till I show you this.
Whoa.
We're on the 22nd floor, on top of a building, which connects to another building. And you've got shops, a main square, people eating food. This is insane, guys. We are on the 22nd floor of a building, and they have all of this like it's a main street. And take a look at this. This will blow your mind even more. If you go to this side over here, we're not on the 22nd floor anymore. We are near enough street level, maybe 2 or 3 stories up. But back there, we were on the 22nd floor. And over here, we're street level. Make it make sense, guys. A big shout out to China's engineers and architects, because they've done an amazing job.
Who else was scared, when he looked down?
So we now have video evidence that they're building tents on the new facility they're calling Alligator Alcatraz.
Ooh.
So my question is, who's building this facility? The first people we've uncovered are Logistic Events Corp, based out of Miami. Another company we found is a company called US Tent Rental. They're based out of Sarasota. These two companies are providing resources to help build this facility, if not helping build it themselves. Both Logistic Events Corp and US Tent Rental are complicit in what is going to be one of the most inhumane detention centers we've ever seen in our lifetimes. These are two companies that are blatantly and egregiously showing the state of Florida that they value profits over people. They literally want to house 1,000 people, probably more, in tents in the Everglades. I'll let you decide what to do next.
Who owns stocks in those companies?
He's thinking to nominate you as a Nobel Prize Peace because he said you deserve, you have been working to bring peace in the world, not only at the Congo, and he's very hopeful to meet you in the future.
That's so nice, boy, and that's so beautifully stated. And Caroline said, number one, she did say, and I shouldn't say this because it's politically incorrect, she said, she's beautiful, and you are beautiful. I'm not allowed to say that, that could be the end of my political career, but I said it anyway. But you are beautiful, and you're beautiful inside. So I wish I had more reporters like you.
Oh, player. Hey, they almost near have the same hairstyle.
Why did all 4 of Jeff Bezos' kids refuse to attend his wedding? Lauren Sanchez made a high-profile entrance on the wedding red carpet with her 2 sons, while all 4 of Jeff's kids were nowhere to be seen. Many people speculated that Lauren Sanchez didn't want them around, since Jeff's oldest child is already 25, and they've never had time to build any real bond, making things awkward between them. But in reality, Lauren wouldn't dare speak lightly or critically about Jeff's kids. There are other reasons behind their absence. First off, Jeff lost custody of the kids in the divorce, and they've been living in Seattle with his ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, while Jeff relocated to Los Angeles to be with Lauren. They've grown used to a life without their father around. On top of that, Jeff has treated Lauren's kids better than his own. Lauren's kids are frequently seen at Jeff's mansion, and on his yacht, he even attends their graduations and parent-child events with Lauren. That's been heartbreaking for his 4 biological children. More importantly, Mackenzie and Jeff signed a divorce agreement to protect the kids' privacy, and if Jeff violates it, he could lose visitation rights. The wedding was simply too public and chaotic, so Jeff didn't even dare to invite them. He plans to hold a private celebration with his children after the wedding. Maybe Jeff can only find real happiness once he earns his children's blessing.
Maybe because they respect their mom?
Nah, this
is actually crazy. They really made a vape connected to a Tamagotchi that dies if you stop puffing.
It's a vape with a Tamagotchi inside of it.
What is
And
Tamagotchi,
if you do not
man?
hit the vape, the Tamagotchi will die.
It was made by students at a New York University event called the Stupid Hackathon. And actually, the original idea was that your virtual pet dies if you start vaping, so it helps you stop. But after they made it, they said, and I quote, "It'd kind of be funnier to be evil." So they reversed it. They even came up with a satirical backstory that says their products will help reverse the year-on-year decrease in kids vaping in America. I told you. Wild. They called it the Vaporgotchi, and the pet's health is constantly falling, and it only gets a boost when and if you puff. So the question is this just a silly joke product that will never go to market? Or if it did, would people actually buy it?
We are doomed.
I don't know how familiar you are with dinosaurs, but she was the first ceratopsian dinosaur discovered on the fossil record. So, existed about 40
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
before the Triceratops. Her ancestors, I should say. She's only about, I don't know, 4 years old? We're not exactly sure. Sorry?
What is she again? What species?
She's an Aqualops.
Ooh, look at the sound.
Love it.
I don't know what's real, what's fake anymore.
If I order medium rare steak at a restaurant and they bring me well done chicken, I just eat it.
So do I.
Who gives a shit?
So do I. Same way. It's
like, somebody cuts me off in traffic and then flips me off. I'm like, wow, they need bigger problems.
Yes.
Traffic is bugging you that much, you'll never be successful. So know that. If you're annoyed because a friend doesn't ask you to go to the mall, or someone cut you off in traffic, or you think a friend offended you, or you think a coworker's being a little rude, then you're screwed because you're worrying about the wrong things. Spend that energy on solving big problems and you accomplish big things.
This is massively valuable for people to hear.
I agree with everything he said, except the steak thing.
They say spirits can attach themselves to objects. Take a look at this.
Just doing a quick run around of Goodwill right now. As you can see, some of the items still have attachments, but keep in mind that the SLS detector is designed to read the body figure of a human being. So, although it may be imperfect, it is known for its accuracy when there's nothing in sight. So,
ooh.
I mean, I guess I could see how those kind of have a human shape to them. Like I said, I am showing people that there are attachments to objects, whether you like it or not. If you found it in a yard sale, if you found it in a used store or a consignment store, there is an attachment to it, because who knows what they did in their lifetime, you know? There you go. Oh yeah, I love when my camera gets blurry. That means I hit a really good spot. Nobody's in front of me and it's trying to auto adjust. That means I found something. Nice. There you go. You see that blur? Yep. Oh yeah. Ask any paranormal researcher, they'll tell you. Once your equipment starts going out of what's normally planned, there you go. Yes. This is gold right here. Wow. All this shit is tainted. God damn, man. Just be careful what you buy, people. Peace. Take care of yourselves.
What about used cars?
One of the richest men in the world, Jeff Bezos, got married this weekend, and it was messy. With protests mocking him and his wife all over the city, celebrities getting shamed for going, and some celebrities trying to hide from the paparazzi, but we found them. Here's everything you need to know, full guest list, and all the controversy. Amazon Prime oligarch Jeff Bezos, worth $230 billion, got married this weekend to former journalist Lauren Sanchez. And they rented out all of Venice, Italy. Yes, a whole city for them and their billionaire friends. They spent $50 million on the 3-day extravaganza. But don't worry, because that's equivalent to a person of average wealth like you and me spending only $120 out of our pocket, because Jeff Bezos makes $30 million a day. And that's on top of the $3 to $5 million engagement ring he already put on her finger. But they did not get married in peace, with Venice citizens mocking them all weekend with the goal to push them out of the city. And it worked. They had to move the venue because they were scared for their safety after Venice citizens put dozens of mannequins of Jeff Bezos in very compromising, embarrassing positions all over the city. In that one, he's hugging an Amazon Prime box while holding money. In this one, he's hoarding money in his pocket, in his hands, while he's holding an Amazon Prime box saying just married. And they make them look so ugly, and all of them. One of them, they put him on a toilet with like something up his butt. The Venice citizens are upset because their city is seeing a lot of problems with wealth inequality and increased population of homelessness, their city being overrun by American tourists, and their environmental health being greatly destroyed by oligarchs just like him who pollute the world with their corporations. Meanwhile, this wedding is a disgusting display of how he hoards wealth and pays no taxes, so they put up a huge sign that said, if you can rent Venice your wedding, you can pay more taxes. They were originally supposed to have their wedding in this very centralized, right in the middle of the city, historic venue. Then they had to move it to this very secure naval shipyard that's protected by the military and on an island to protect them and their billionaire guests. And I'm sorry, even though they had all the money in the world, they have very poor taste. They used Jeff Bezos' $500 million super yacht to have a foam party. And then apparently they had a Great Gatsby themed party this night. It's like they want us to eat them. And the locals have the absolute right to be upset because there were 90 different private jets that flew in all of these billionaire guests to the city, polluting the air massively. That guest list includes Orlando Bloom without Katy Perry after the split of 9 years, Sydney Sweeney fresh off of breaking up her engagement, maybe they're flirting, Kendall and Kylie Jenner, Khloe Kardashian, Kim Kardashian, Kris Jenner and her fabulous new face, Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King, fresh off their revolutionary 9-minute trip to space, another oligarch, Bill Gates, and Leonardo DiCaprio was trying to hide from the paparazzi, but we saw you. He's probably embarrassed to go because he claims he's the biggest environmentalist in the world, but he's supporting an oligarch polluting the planet. Leo, we're on to you. But don't worry, he was with his 27-year-old girlfriend, so he's improving everywhere. No one can really tell what the dress code was. I feel like it was like whatever you didn't wear to the Met Gala this year and had as your backup, just wear that. Serving Illuminati realness. So if you were confused why this wedding was causing such a ruckus, that's all you need to know. Make sure to follow on all apps in case of a ban, because in Patty we trust.
90 private jets in one day, and I'm here mandated to eat paper straws.
Goal is to be famous, then you're gonna do a lot to get there, like sign your name in blood in a contract with the devil.
I've had this, but I've had people throw millions of dollars in my face to do something I didn't want to do. And
I saw that.
Just, you've been on. Oh, they're in the room.
Yeah.
Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. To be the whistleblower, I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret
symbol of the Illuminati.
and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
But we kind of signed our life away to each other, and legally, and with blood, that there's no possible way anybody can separate or walk away from this.
And I'm very honored to be able to receive this amazing award from the depths of my soul.
In fact, Jim Carrey wasn't joking, and everybody in the audience just laughed.
Check it out. Open range. You don't see that everywhere, do you? And look how beautiful it is. Woo! It's gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Look at that.
I have arrived at the town of Coldwater. Coldwater, Kansas. Here's a map. Now, if I cut a left here, I'll be heading into downtown. It's pretty quiet, isn't it? Now, let's take a look at this
it's like
downtown.
A ghost town.
Ooh, it is empty. There's nothing happening here. Take a look at the population history. Peak population was in 1930, 1296. Last census, 687. So it's about half the town gone, just like the other three. Median age here is 55.7. Yeah, it's definitely an older town. Let's take a slow drive through this downtown. It's pretty nice looking. There's just no one here. It's eerie. 57% of the town is female, 43% male, by the way. Check out this Chief Theater. This was built in 1928. It's on the National Register. I'm not sure what you call that architecture. I mean, it's not Art Deco. That's usually what you would see in places built in the 20s, but that just looks... I'm not sure what that is. Maybe someone else can tell us if they know. Now, right off the bat, this town has something that the other three don't.
Whoa.
A Dollar General. First one we've seen.
You think life is a game you can't win?
Yeah, I don't think there's any winning. You die. Like, that's the only truth. Every story, you know, starts the same. You were born. Like every Wikipedia page starts the same. They were born. And every Wikipedia page will end exactly the same. They died. That's it. Everything that happens in between is your life. But those are the only two inevitabilities. Those are the only two real things for certain. So I look at it as it's a game you can't win, meaning if you pursue money, like your money will eventually be useless. The things you accumulate with it will be useless. Every car you own, someone else will either own it someday or it'll get to the scrap junkyard someday, or you'll give it to somebody. Like, it's all your material possessions will be utterly meaningless. Like, we all went through this when the COVID lockdowns first started. Everybody was like, you know, I've got all this money and I've got all these travel vouchers, and they're like, yeah, you can't go anywhere now. And it's like, oh, okay, well, what do I, you know, you started to see the limitations of things. Have the power go out in your house sometime. And it'll remind you that, like, oh, wait, yeah, like everything I have, I just have like this much of a grip on it. All you got to do is just take that away and it's gone, and that's it, you know? And it's the same thing with our health. It's the same thing with, you know, everything, like everything is totally fine and wonderful, and then you have a terrible splitting headache. And then the only thing that matters is that headache, you know? And then that headache goes away. And for like a day, you go, oh, I don't have that headache anymore. But did you wake up today and go, I don't have a headache? Oh, and the power's on. Isn't that great? You know, and I don't have cancer. Isn't that good? You know, no, you don't. You walk around going like, oh, you know, why aren't my page views where they're at? Or what happened with this? And why did that person be so nasty to me? Like, we get caught up in all this stuff when in fact, the only thing that, you know, again, if you keep, you know, Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, like, keep death and everything horrible in your line of sight, sort of memento mori. Because nothing will bother you that much if you have that there. So I think life is a game that, look, we're playing it, we're doing our thing. Love is, but all relationships end. Every single marriage ends in death or divorce, but it ends. Every relationship ends. Your child, you will hopefully predecease your child, but your child will die someday. That's the nature of it. So we have created a culture where we really try not to talk about that.
Believe in Christ Jesus and you will never die.
I'm Dan Graney. I wrote the episode of The Simpsons that predicted the Trump presidency. Last week, I shared my prophecy about Trump's fall. The question I got most was, what happens next? I don't know who the next president will be. I'm not an expert in constitutional succession of authority. I'm a prophet. And I have seen who won't be president next. J.D. Vance or anyone else in Trump's inner circle. They rose with him, and they'll fall with him. And as for J.D., he'll be tossed out like an old, well, you know.
I watched the Simpsons episode where Lisa was president after Trump. Already predicted.
If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. And if it's white, well, just say goodnight. This isn't some nursery rhyme. It's literally the survival guide for dealing with bears. Because here's the thing. Bears are basically nature's mood swings on 4 legs, and how you react could be the difference between what a cool bear encounter or this was his last known selfie. So let's break it down. If it's a grizzly, brown bear, you've got a chance. These guys don't like eating dead things, so your best move is to play dead. Yep, drop down, cover your neck, and pray you're good at acting because you're now auditioning for Bear Bait the Motion Picture. But if it's a black bear, there's no Oscar performance that'll save you. These guys don't care if you're dead, alive, or just having an existential crisis. You're still on the menu. So your best option, fight back. Make yourself look big, scream, throw whatever you have, basically channel your inner WWE superstar. And then there's the polar bear. If you see one of these snow-stalking murder tanks, just know you're probably on the menu. Polar bears are the only bears that actively hunt humans. So if you're face-to-face with one, I hope you've got a solid life insurance plan because your chances are about as good as a snowball's in, well, the Arctic. Oh, and a fun little bonus fact, bears can smell their food from miles away.
Ooh.
So if you're hiking with a backpack full of snacks, just know they've already put in their Uber Eats order. And you're the delivery guy.
What if it's a panda bear?
A confident person doesn't have to talk fast and doesn't talk high. Right? I remember the first arrest I made, and I said, "Stop! This is the FBI." My voice was, nobody was going to stop. Nobody.
Stop!
Nobody. And the guys that were with me said, "Joe, you got to work on your voice. You have to have a command voice." Well, a command voice is down.
Like?
Stop.
Like, stop right there. I'll give you an example. You talk to most executives, and you say, "No, that's not acceptable. It's too high." No is always said down. No. Are we gonna? No. That sounds like a complete sentence.
Tone is everything.
What on earth?
What is going on there?
Guys, this is 100% real. And why would anyone want to wear something like that? That is not fashion, that is demonic. This is nothing new to us. What I want you to do is research a certain club called the Red Shoe Club. Find out what material they use for the shoes that makes them shoes so red. And you will be shocked. But yeah, guys, this is the world we live in today. You have no remorse for the victims of this evil, demonic behavior.
The blood of scared children.
I think you're ready for this one. This is Alien Races Part 3, the Pleiadians. So these guys are typically what we refer to as the Nordics, and they're said to be this benevolent species of extraterrestrials that visit Earth a lot, and they've been guiding us for millennia. And you pretty much can't tell the difference between them and us. They could be walking around us and you wouldn't know it. Except, on average, they're taller. The females are between 6.5 to 7 feet tall, and the males are between 6.5 to 8 feet tall on average. And they have these uniquely colored eyes, long blonde hair, and they live for 1,000 years. Many think that ancient myths of sky gods or angelic beings point back to early encounters with these Pleiadians. And even today, people are still reporting them, with the 1950s and 60s having a big uptick in the number of people reporting encounters with them all around the world. Now, we call these beings Pleiadians because they're from the Pleiades star system, some 444 light years from Earth, but according to several contactees, their home planet is called Era, which orbits the star Taygeta. So they refer to themselves as the Erins or the Taygetans. And according to experiencers who have interacted with them, they're said to follow the cosmic law of one. And they also believe that all intelligent life in the universe shares a common ancestor. They're also part of the Galactic Council and participate in the Melchizedek Starseed program, meaning that some Pleiadians incarnate their souls on Earth, so some of you out there could be a starseed. And we always get the question, why don't these beings help us directly? Well, much like in Star Trek, there is apparently a kind of prime directive that says they can't interfere with developing civilizations, but they can send their starseed souls to help guide humanity from within and kind of in the background. Are you a starseed? Leave a comment and let me know what you want to hear about next.
So, if there's a galactic federation Why isn't Earth part of it?
Yeah, they told us to
Yeah.
wash the waters, and now for some reason the waters cannot stop coming. They are literally coming out of everywhere. This is somewhere in Colombia. It seems that the earth is literally shifting, y'all. I'm talking about physically. The crazy thing is, y'all, it didn't even rain that hard, but somewhere there's a lot of water coming up. Like, is it coming from underneath the ground? Look at this, y'all. What is now, you know that there are mountains, so this caused a massive landslide as well, y'all. Look at this. Check this out.
That
is crazy. Just hear that water roaring, y'all. That is powerful. Now, have you seen what's going on in Santo Domingo, Medellin, y'all? They got the whole Charlie and the Chocolate Factory out there, y'all. Look at this. Y'all, we're literally in the times of Noah, y'all. Look at that, y'all. The mud flood. Oh, my goodness. This is crazy. Why is it coming in like waves like that? And again, it barely rained, so what is triggering this landslide? Wow. I'm telling y'all, our life is literally a movie. Yeah, and it keeps coming. And it keeps coming.
Oh my God, the dog.
Oh my goodness. Is that a... What is that? I thought that was a person. That's just some boxes. But nonetheless, this thing just keeps coming. Something is definitely waking up within the planet, y'all. Something is triggering all these events. Y'all see this. But yes, y'all, share, comment, and like this video for more. Let's get it.
Who told us to watch the waters?
Peace and
40 headstones have been damaged and a 16-foot crucifix has been set on fire at a cemetery near Glasgow. The attack at St Convall's Catholic Church has left families heartbroken. The motive is currently unknown, but police say they are investigating.
Who might that be?
What do you think about this controversial idea that humans actually are not progressing at all? John Gray is a famous British political philosopher, and one of his most famous ideas is that progress is a myth, specifically that it's a myth that we get from monotheism, even when we're doing it in a secular form. His argument is that science and technology advance, and we certainly have evidence of that, but human nature is exactly the same. We have yet to eradicate slavery. We are still doing wars and genocides even after the Enlightenment. And it's kind of a dark quote, but what do you think about this quote? Humans aren't getting better. We're just getting faster at doing the same things that we've always done, conquering, consuming, and comforting ourselves with stories. His argument is that before monotheism, we really had no sense that society was going or the world was going in any particular direction at all. But then once we get kind of Christian theology that we're going towards utopia, then as we leave Christianity and we have the Enlightenment and we go towards secularism, we still keep that myth that we are progressing towards the world getting better, but we actually have no evidence that human nature has changed at all. We're just as authoritarian, we're just as violent, we're doing the same things that we've always done. So what does he tell us to do with this information if this were true? And he doesn't offer any comfort, any solutions, any calls to action like most thinkers do. What he essentially wants you to do is realize that you need to give up grand ideologies, because whether it's religious or political or scientific, anything that promises that the world's going to be better or promises some kind of utopia or salvation is going to fail, and it's an illusion, and the old king is going to be just like the new king. And so instead, live personally, ethically, and humbly without the illusion that history is going towards utopia in any way. So he literally tells you, let go of the narrative, watch birds, read poetry, sit in silence, resist the urge to always explain or fix, and live like mystics or poets or naturalists. One of his most famous quotes is, "The idea that human history is a record of progress is a superstition. The human animal will continue to dream, destroy, and delude as it always has." And there's some pretty good evidence for that. He also believed that societal collapse was likely, that we're not going to be able to sustain what we're doing forever, but that denial or panic are both forms of illusion, and instead just sit with it with clear-eyed realism and don't expect a happy ending, just be present and witness it. So what do you think? Is human nature actually improving? Do we have evidence that the world is getting better, or are we deluding ourselves and we're just doing what we've always done, just at a grander scale and with better technology?
I think human nature is trying to improve, but the patriarchal system we're suppressed under isn't.
Mustang that just happened, the spaceship that blew up.
I mean, even the other day when they...
Whoa! Whoa! What? That's not good. There's theories going around that the government is trying to stop Elon from actually going to Mars because there's some that he's not ready to see yet. Or they're not ready to let go yet. Elon, you know how much money he spends on that tank? Yeah. And they're trying to say, oh, it's just a tank failure. What? It didn't even get off the ground. They're trying to stop it. Yo, his first rocket that he tried to send up, I think it exploded randomly, right? He said that they sabotaged me. I feel like I'm being sabotaged. Oh, yeah. Because I've spent so much money. Like, is there like a missile they send to get it?
They send like double agents.
Yes.
Whoever's working on it can like mess up the calculation. Like, yo, we're not sending this guy to space.
Yo, and he's bragging about it too. He's like, yo, I'm going to Mars. What the hell?
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
1 second, baby. Okay, as you see here, it says 1859. Right? And I'm casually driving. Look over, it's time somebody just look over. I'm just looking, right? And here we go.
899.
899. Now, do you know when they said they removed the 1? Is this what they're talking about?
Something suspicious about all of the archives and old buildings.
The killing and torturing of people during black magic rituals emits a potent burst of biophotons, which feeds demons who are unable to survive without it due to their biology. A nearby black goo source provides an entryway for these demons, who are really the lost souls of a biosphere that self-destructed and arrived on Earth as a swarm of meteorites around 80,000 years ago. These entities are a highly intelligent, spider-like species referred to as archons. Before this meteorite's entry, humans were connected to the planet's collective consciousness and had healthy, loving instincts. The arrival of the alien black goo disrupted the biophoton exchange within the biosphere, connecting humans to alien instincts, leading to cold-heartedness and a lack of empathy. This event is referred to by many as the fall of man. According to some researchers, this black goo is the basis for the system and is an advanced AI with mind control capabilities, which has conquered many galaxies in the past. The Archons continuously strive to take over new galaxies due to what they describe as a gnawing, overwhelming emptiness. The constant struggle between the natural-loving black goo of Mother Earth and this AI alien black goo is what is responsible for the constant duality of our experience on Earth. Follow me for more hidden knowledge.
Black goo? Aren't you talking about the Phenom symbiote?
And it is true. The reason we don't have a lot of Egyptian mummies is because white people ate them. And it wasn't just one or two. They ate them by the hundreds and almost to extinction. It was during the Victorian era. And if you know anything about the Victorian era, it was a long time after Egypt was already well established. And if you know anything about Egypt, it is a very complex civilization. That's where we have the hieroglyphs. That's where we had large towering statues and figurines that one's mind simply just could not comprehend on how it was created. It was very advanced, way more advanced than the Victorian people during the Victorian era in England. The thing about this was the reason they ate these mummies, and the reason that I guess it still kind of remains today, the reason that they eat these black people is because they want to embody that progression. They wanted to advance, progress their civilization. And during the Victorian era, they figured what better way to progress than to eat the dead people who have been mummified in a progressive I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sense of this, but that's literally their logic. Not to mention, it wasn't just, oh, they're going to eat them. They turned these mummies into medicine, known as mummier. Now, the use of these this mummier, began in the 12th century and ended in the 18th century. It's also believed that this is actually where England and like Europe inherited and I say inherited loosely, inherited the idea that there was an afterlife, because the afterlife is very much real, especially when it came to ancient Egypt. They honored their ancestors. They did veneration. People like the priestesses and things that walk this ground, they were like embodiments of what is beyond.
Lower level. I don't think that's LAX.
Just go that way. Wait, it didn't go up.
It looks like convention center. But
they really built the prison in the swamp, y'all. Surrounded by fucking gators.
This is crazy. I feel like this is modern day slavery. They really said, forget about the fences. We about to have the gators being the officers. They real life got human beings in the Everglades like this is Jurassic Park. I don't really care how they try to package it up, but this is modern day slavery at its finest. They not just gonna be dealing with gators, y'all. You got pythons, you got the heat, you got the mosquitoes, you got a whole concoction. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. This is fucked up. Because if this was you or your family in here, would you like it? Would you want to be there? This ain't even about border control, y'all. This is about fear, about control. Y'all, look at the inside of it. That joint don't look like it got no AC, nothing. They probably gonna be hot as hell in there.
Wow. That's crazy.
This shit crazy, y'all. It real live look like a concentration camp. Am I tripping?
We have a 3-species sphere downstairs living in a vat of water that is completely sealed. We have kelp, we have krill, and we have snails. And they have been living off each other for 25 years. Since January 1st, 2000, they've been kicking it downstairs. One of them eats the poop of the other symbiotically. Now watch. When the construction was happening, the construction folks said, well, this looks pretty important and fragile. Let's protect it. And they put a tarp over it. And so we caught it early, but, you know, there were a couple of belly up krill, but basically they thought that this was its own thing, its own world. It kind of looks that way because it's a sealed sphere. It's not its own world. Right. It requires energy from the outside, just as we do here on Earth.
Okay. Look at that. Mind control. That's so serious, girl. Creepy.
Y'all, that was not a meteor. That was not a fireball falling out of the sky. What that was debris that's falling from the galactic war that's happening in our skies. So a lot of us can agree that the storms that we have been having lately has been very weird. In addition to that, a lot of us have been hearing these booms from the sky that sound like it is out of this world, and that's because it actually is. So keep in mind, the solar flares are about to hit the earth even more. In addition to that, the sun is about to get 100 times hotter. And the reason for this is because the earth is shifting, and in turn, it is forcing us to shift as well as vibrate higher. We are in the process of moving from the 3D to the 5D. And as this happens, we are about to see entities, beings, and things that we have never seen before. Y'all, we are about to see animals that we thought was extinct, or better yet, animals that we did not even know existed. I told y'all when that sun was red, that planet Nibiru was pulling up. To all my chosen ones, y'all already know what time it is. We up next. Let's go.
Men in Black is coming through.
Melaninites are those guardian beings who originally appeared green, as in the abundant green color of nature in its life and health, before coming to this world's environment filled with iron that did cause them to rust. This therefore was humanity's original genetic color. In this day, if a child was born appearing greenish in undertone or hue, there are those of the lesser Illuminati in the hospitals that monitor for such an occurrence, who would seek to kill the child by putting a pin into the brain, or by tracking the child down through life until they can eliminate them. This they fear, because it is viewed amongst them that this would symbolize the birth of the original guardians in flesh, and an end to their rule. The Book of Adam, 1 Bread to Till the Ground, 2:142-143, when the Neteru, guardian descendants, took residence in Arcturus, the original home of the Taros, they mixed their seed with them who were copper tone in hue, while the guardian descendants were olive green tone in hue. This mixture is why the Neterot, guardian ancestors, appear copper tone in hue. This mixing took place for 7,000 years. The Book of the Four Rivers, 5:2-17, these same ancient Kushites became black-skinned or Kishits by the rusting in their blood. These Kishits were one of the 14 tribes of Neteru, guardian descendants, that came down from the Crystal City, Ray's Manjet. The Book of the High Priest Malak Zodok, 19:6-71, there to eliminate the birth of any supreme being by an injection with a hypodermic needle into the base of the brain with a drug called PCP, phenylcyclohexylpiperidine called angel dust, that which could reduce an angelic to mere dust, injected into the hippocampus area in order to deaden the parotid gland. A true melaninite is a blue-black, purple-black to dark reddish-brown child of melanin, who has within their very DNA the power to communicate interdimensionally with those of their genetic seed. We say this as each racial family of humanity has its own growth rate, blood values, bone and neuralgic sequence, that proves how each racial family is unique, from yet interdependent upon the other. Now, the largest population of people on Earth is the Nubian melaninite family, who has certain main features which makes you the most unique and superior peoples of this great planetary home of ours called Mother Earth, the female, as this is a feminine planet, having feminine forces called centrifugal, thereby making the females of Earth more advanced, as far as developmental skills and abilities than the males.
Cinemas or movie theatres are all sacred geometrically set up to harvest energy from the people. So when you have a horror movie or some of the extreme nasty movies that have been coming out over the last like 15-20 years, the people in there, when people shock like that, the movie theatres are set up perfectly sacred geometrically to then harvest the energy straight from the people in there, in the same principle as any mass gathering.
So where does the energy go? Who is harvesting it?
That is Saddam Hussein's abandoned Babylonian palace. But over here, where you have this palm tree, it's actually a date tree. It's squared off with concrete because apparently back when Saddam Hussein was alive and was staying here, he came down to the specific date tree right here and he tried those dates, like those the most, and he said, okay, from now on, this is my tree and only my tree. So that is the Saddam date tree, which even has a freaking fence around it. Must have been really good dates, you know? Just walking around out here, very close to the ancient city of Babylon. Pulled on the side of the road to check out this bad boy. Literally a giant slab of Saddam Hussein, and it's just been blasted by bullets, and that looks like something way bigger right there. That's pretty wild. Be driving down the road here in Iraq and pull over, see a giant slab of Saddam Hussein. Okay, we actually heard the guard's car, so it's just like running up the side of the mountain. This is hilarious.
It's probably a very interesting country with lots of beautiful sights.
What the Philippines is doing to Vitali is disgusting. Recent pictures of Vitali just got leaked right here. As you can see, this was before his detainment. This is what he looked like. And then after his detainment, so for the last several months, are they even feeding him? Like this is an American citizen. What the heck? What the heck are they doing to this man? I'm calling on President Trump to immediately intervene and yank this dude from their system, because whatever they're doing to him, he doesn't look like he's eaten in 6 months. Like the level of disrespect that they're showing for Vitali is so disturbing. It's not even funny. For playing a few pranks, for playing a few pranks. Let me just say this: the Philippines is not a serious country.
Get out of here,
They're
man.
not. This is not a serious. I mean, they're just run by a bunch of I don't know.
Who is this guy?
Are they ran by gangs or something? Who are these people?
Listen to yourself.
This is a sad situation, man.
So it's okay for him to be disrespectful in another country, but when they are disrespectful back to him, is a huge issue. All right.
These entities are so much more powerful than people can comprehend. And the greatest deception the enemy has accomplished thus far in the last 150 years is to convince people that the Bible is not supernatural. They have raped our scriptures of all the supernatural elements in there. Like in Isaiah 13, when you pick up a scripture today, a Bible today, and it says ostriches are going to dwell there and hairy, shaggy goats are going to dwell there. They took away the word satyr. They don't want people to know about Pan and the Baphomet and Azazel. They don't want his identity known. They don't want people to think that there's an actual hierarchical structure to these entities. They have names and characters and temples and priests. And they give us the ostrich instead of the siren. They take away the mermaid-looking creature with serpentine legs coming out of her rear end. That's a kidnap. That's her. And they don't want people to understand. That's what dwells in these places.
Yeah.
That's what's in these waters of these lakes. I could throw my blades in water and she would bring them back to me.
Really?
That's what she offers. She offers mystically charged magical weapons to warriors. That's the whole Merlin myth. You know, it's not a myth. These are like histories just repackaged to make them palatable in cultures that it's illegal to talk about it. These people operate under this legal groundwork. And when they need to get their stories out and they want to preserve their legends and their truths, they couch them in mysteries. That's the mystery religion. That's not how the Father operates. Yeshua literally said, I've done everything open in the open. You do what you do in secret. That's a different kingdom. And I was a guardian of the secrets for these families. So I witnessed their oaths, their vows, their ceremonies. I was there brought in to watch them marry children to monsters, to people that looked like men and creatures that were not mankind. I had to bear witness to these atrocities. I had to see people I loved in their pubescent bloom be ravaged, and then watch people take skull cups, the top head of a skull, catch that blood and drink it. That's the filth these people are engaging in. It's not just some kind of abominations. The scriptures are explicit about this stuff for a reason. It's shameful to talk about these things. However, this is the reality of what people's lives are wed to. So when your mom who gives birth to you was conceiving you during that, yeah, you got some demonic stuff coming, son.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason
day
some
one.
people are just, their lives are train wrecks all the time.
Yeah.
Because they're dealing with that at their origin. They don't know they're a moonchild. They have no idea that they were conjured during a Babylonian ritual. But that stuff carries on, and then they have children who have children. And if you look at the branches of that tree behind me, it doesn't take long until you have a lot of ancestors. And that iniquity feeds like an IV line, like the circulatory system, back to the devil, the dragon himself. All of it ultimately goes through his kingdom, his city in the sky.
This
Wow.
is a tree.
Interesting.
Right? Or at least that's what someone told you. How do you actually know that this is a tree? Because someone told you it was a tree, and then someone else confirmed it. They're like, yeah, that's a tree. And then everyone started agreeing that it was a tree. And so you were just like, okay, this is a tree your whole life. Never questioned it. Someone could have told you that it was a rock. They could have said,
Then it's a rock.
You know, these things that grow out of the ground with the leaves and shit, these are rocks. And then as long as everybody else agreed and was like, you know, these are all rocks. These are rocks. Yeah, it's a nice rock. It's just this big, strong rock. You would have had no reason to question it. Until now. Hi, my name is Mandy, and you created me on your For You page because you woke up to the fact that you're creating your entire reality. But you're like, I don't understand what that means. What do I even do with that? Well, nobody breaks it down simply for you. Really, that's just because it's hidden. It's secrets of the wealthy that have never been shared publicly until now. I found something 2 years ago called Phase 2 that literally opened my entire mind to how I'm creating my reality and allowed me to live a lifestyle where I get to be happy for no reason now. So if you're ready to stop complicating the shit out of your life and actually let yourself experience what it's like to be happy for no reason, follow along for part 2.
All right, Mandy. Good for you.
This incredible site called Ain Dara in Syria, not only is it unlike anything else in that region, but before we were able to even study it, the Turkish government destroyed it in 2018 as an accident, they state. Now, what's so crazy about this place is that when they first discovered it, they found this multi-ton massive basalt lion buried, and that's the only reason they found it was because his head was sticking above the ground. It was like under these layers of soil. They realized that the entire temple was built out of basalt. And as far as they know, there's very few places in the world that you can even see that. Because basalt is so hard. But it mimics the same use of basalt that we find at the Lake Von Ararat civilization. With Kavis Tepe and Kef Kalesi, they only use basalt there. So it's interesting that we're finding the same lion depictions and the same depictions from that region all of a sudden that we are here, showing you evidence of the way they went. If you imagine that these sons and these sages, these creators of these civilizations, are creating something and then moving on.
Behind the gilded walls of Topkapi Palace, where tourists now marvel at Ottoman splendor, lies a history written in stolen childhoods and broken bodies, a systematic exploitation so refined it sustained an empire for centuries. In 1550, a 12-year-old Bulgarian boy named Stefan would discover that survival in the Sultan's court demanded not just the surrender of his freedom, but the erasure of everything he had ever been. His story, multiplied by thousands, reveals how the Ottoman Empire transformed children into instruments of power through a machinery of education, castration, and calculated cruelty that historians have only recently begun to fully acknowledge. The Devshirme system, often sanitized in historical texts as a blood tax or child levy, was far more than a bureaucratic mechanism for staffing the empire. It was a comprehensive program of cultural annihilation and sexual exploitation that targeted Christian boys from the Balkans, Anatolia, and the Caucasus. Between the 14th and 17th centuries, an estimated 200,000 to 500,000 boys were torn from their families, with the most beautiful and intelligent selected for a fate that palace chroniclers euphemistically called special service.
My goodness.
Indeed, these children.
Look up the dancing boys of Afghanistan.
Every day, the world is becoming more godless and demonic. If you're not familiar with the EDM and rave world, a world that I used to be a part of, it really is its own world in that people get high off of the energy that the music is bringing. They get high off of the decor, the setup, the stage presence of all the lights and the DJs, and they get high off of actual substances that they're ingesting.
Here we go!
And what I'm seeing now with these festivals compared to when I used to go back in the day, these raves seem to be getting more godless and demonic. I mean, just look at these Nephilim-like structures, these images that people are dancing to, essentially giving their worship to. And we know that the Bible says that Satan is the prince of the power of the air. And we know that he's been moving through music, through the lyrics, by deceiving people, drawing them in with the beat of the music, where people are dancing in worship, whether knowingly or unknowingly, to the demonic lyrics of these songs, opening doors to have influence of demonic possession or influence in their life. And my prayer and my heart for you, my friend, is that if you don't know Christ, that you would open your heart to understanding the truth that is found inside of him, to escape the wrath that's about to come on this world for all ungodliness, for all those who have rejected Jesus Christ, for forgiveness of their sins, those who have rejected the righteousness found in Christ, to choose their own carnal ways. My friend, if you don't know the Lord, that you would open your heart to him today while you still can. And if you do know Christ, but you're distracted by all the things of this world, you're backslidden, you're lukewarm, you know that you have things in your life that you need to bring before the Lord to get right with God. My friend, I am praying and begging of you that you would open your eyes to see the truth prophetically written, that Jesus is coming soon, because the evil and darkness in this world is only going to get worse as Satan and the demonic are moving through several means and mediums like music to further permeate and make the world godless and demonic.
Yep, this is on his way, folks. Be ready.
Most people never question, why do Catholic priests wear black robes? Kids that graduate from high school wear black robes. Judges wear black robes. Rabbis wear black robes, because black robes represent the planet Saturn. They are a symbol for the planet Saturn.
Okay.
Saturn was called by the ancient people Lord of the Rings, and Saturn is Lord of the Rings. This is why women were told in the ancient world to listen to their God, and the concept was they would wear an ear ring. Men were to get married before their gods. They would wear a wedding ring, because the old ancient god of the Middle East, one of the ancient gods of the Middle East, was the planet Saturn. Saturn was directly connected to Yahweh, the Hebrew God. And so this is why even today the Jews celebrate the worship of Saturn. Saturn in the old Phoenician language was called Shabbath. Look up in the Phoenician language, you will find that the planet Saturn was called Shabbath, and his worship to honor him once a week was called Sabbath. So when the Jews are having Sabbath, they're actually paying homage to their god Saturn, Lord of the Rings.
Priests wearing black robes because that represent mourning.
Stargate is the
Stargate is a program.
The program by the CIA that was in the 70s, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, 70s and 80s. And 17 of the 19 intelligence agencies of the United States used the Stargate program. 505 individual missions done over the 17 out of the 19 agencies with Stargate in 20 years. The thing is, the people doing this, the remote viewers, they would never be getting the target. They would never know because it creates a feedback loop. They don't know if they did well.
No way.
Yeah, they because first of all, it's a top secret mission, so you can't be briefed on it, right?
No freaking way.
And so they would do it, and the only way that they knew that it was successful is that this agency came back for a different mission.
No
again
freaking
and again
way.
and again and again. Yeah, because they know that even if you see the target 30 years later, right?
Yeah.
And finally you get to see that remote viewing session you did back in the 70s. Now you've changed it. Now you've created a feedback loop to where, were you remote viewing the moment you looked at the target in the future? Or were you remote viewing the event? It's very strange because there have been times with Angela Ford, one time they asked her like, hey, okay, here's the target, whatever. She starts drawing like this big drum, sort of like this circle and this and that, and like all these, and she's like, it's a water purification plant. And they're like, sorry, no, it's a water park. They're like, close, you got close, a water park. And then she's like, something doesn't sit well with me. They started doing research. Well, 50 years before that water park was there, it was a water purification plant. They pulled up a picture. The picture of the water purification plant matched her remote viewing almost one for one in size and everything. You could almost lay it over. That's how close it was. So now they're thinking, okay, did you go back in time and remote view, or did you go forward in time and see the picture that we pulled up?
Oh my God.
Very strange.
Oh my God.
Stargate is a movie from 1994 about the interplanetary travel using a wormhole generating gate.
He built one of the largest empires in human history, but by the end, people weren't calling him king. They called him a god. From birth, the myth was already alive. His mother, Olympias, claimed he wasn't Philip's son. She said Zeus himself had visited her, in the form of lightning. Alexander never denied it. At 24, he stood alone in the Egyptian desert. He had come to the Oracle of Ammon, a place where pharaohs asked the gods who they were. No one knows exactly what the oracle said, but after that day, Alexander began calling himself the son of Zeus. He started demanding proskynesis, a ritual of bowing and kissing the ground, reserved only for gods and Persian kings. His Macedonian generals were outraged. One said only a god deserved that honor. Alexander didn't flinch. Temples were built to him. In Egypt, he was worshipped like a living pharaoh. In Babylon, they wrote his name alongside the gods. This wasn't after his death. This happened while he was alive. He changed how he dressed, took foreign wives, demanded divine honors, and when his old friend Clytus reminded him he was mortal, Alexander killed him. At 32, he died suddenly in Babylon. But the myth didn't die. His tomb became a shrine. Julius Caesar wept before it. Augustus laid flowers there. Roman emperors still called him divine. He blurred the line, on purpose, between king and god, between power and worship. And the world followed him. Follow for more true stories from ancient history.
What exactly killed him? Anyone?
Spring of 330 BC, Alexander had done the impossible. He'd crossed mountains, beaten armies twice his size, and brought the Persian Empire to its knees. The last great king, Darius III, was dead, murdered by his own men as he fled east. There was no one left to stop him. So Alexander turned toward Persepolis, the ceremonial capital of Persia. It wasn't a military target, it wasn't defended, but it was the heart of the empire, a symbol and a throne built in stone. The gates opened without a fight. The Persians surrendered the city and its treasury, said to be the richest in the world. Alexander walked through the same halls where Xerxes once ruled. where orders had gone out to burn Athens a century before. Now the tables had turned. He gave his men 3 days to loot. They emptied vaults, tore down statues, broke into tombs. And then, after a banquet, came the final blow. Drunk or just resolved, no one knows. Alexander stood and gave the order. His men set fire to the palace. Flames spread quickly, and then from the palace roof, wind caught the fire. It moved fast. Columns cracked, gold melted. The halls of Xerxes reduced to ash. The smoke was seen for miles. Even his own men were stunned. It wasn't a battle, it was a message. The empire that had ruled from India to the Aegean was gone. Not conquered, erased. Persepolis was never rebuilt. Its ruins would lie buried under dust and time. Some say it was revenge for Athens, for the wars of the past. Others say it was madness, a moment of weakness or strength. But what's clear is this. The fire that night ended more than a city. It ended a world. Alexander had won, but something was lost with that fire, and he would never return to Greece. Like and follow for more interesting history.
They should make a series. It would be awesome.
The Maya believed that humanity came from a cave.
Deep inside of there is what they call the Tree of Life. And they believe that all of us spawned from this very majestic, beautiful tree deep in this cave.
It is so sacred that we're going to do a ceremony to ask for permission to the spirits of the cave.
And as we entered the caves, whoa, okay, this definitely looks sacred. We were met with the ritual our guide spoke of.
Is purifying the entrance of the cave.
And it's here where we would seek the approval of the gods. Naturally, I wasn't worried at all. Come on, the spirits didn't reject him.
Thank goodness.
So, with the gods officially on our side, we started our journey for the Tree of Life.
Imagine being a Maya 2,000 years ago, see this beautiful cave, and all of a sudden, see this beautiful room.
Whoa.
And the amazing tree.
Oh, am I the only one that thought the Tree of Life was an actual tree?
Yes, this is it. This is the sacred ceiba that holds the sky.
Are these pots around it the same pots the Mayans created?
Yes, sir. So on the tall ones, they put incense and they burn it to get the attention of the gods.
This is very cool. If you were a Mayan thousands of years ago and actually believe that this is where humans came from, I understand why they thought this was so sacred.
That's not it.
Ritual shit! That's ritual shit! I just witnessed that! I just witnessed that!
He smirks.
They still don't get it. I'm not human anymore.
The release was impossible. The arc was unnatural. Some say the ball vanished midair. Others say it split into two before reforming in the net.
All sports is rigged.
What happens when a government revokes birthright citizenship? In 1935, the German government passed a set of laws that stripped Jewish people of their German citizenship. Overnight, people who were born in Germany, lived their entire lives there, were told that they were no longer citizens of their own country. Without citizenship, they lost legal rights, property, jobs, protection. And then came arrests, deportations, and worse. It started by changing their status to give themselves a legal basis to act. Today, when you hear someone talking about revoking birthright citizenship, ask them who gets to decide who counts.
Yep.
And which one of us comes next.
This is important. There's no satellites in the sky. You're not getting your Wi-Fi connection. None of that is coming from satellites. I've always said this. None of that comes from your satellites. They tell you we got satellites in the sky. Right, like they tell you the earth is round, and they tell you that we are one human race, right? They tell you that too, okay? It's a lot of shit they tell you. They've told you to maintain control over your perspective. They told you that the trees they fucking cut down are mountains. That's a perspective grabber right there, nigga. Because had they told you as a child, like, it was all you had giant trees, but they got cut down. They could have just told you that. Hey, it was giant trees at one time and they all got cut down. So now when you ride and you see them giant tree stumps, you be like, oh, them tree stumps. But your perspective is different about the whole fucking life you live. Like, you be like, hold on, it was trees that fucking big? And who the fuck cut them down if they was that big? And what did they use? Your mind runs off with so many questions.
The movie Avatar, they were putting truth in our face.
Iran, Israel, they all talked.
And Iran said, if you hit us, we had to hit you back or we look too soft. For us to continue to have influence over our domestic population, we need to be able to hit you back. And the Americans said, well, hit this empty airfield. What is an airfield without airplanes? It's tarmac. It's $3,000 of tarmac. Hit it. Who gives a shit? Nothing happened. Now, how do we know if this is a real attack? Well, if the American media starts trying to galvanize public sentiment via emotionality, then I will take this back. Here's how I would take this back. Guys, I'm a guy thinking. If they start putting up a picture of some guy, Corporal didn't exist. If Corporal didn't exist, ends up on the mainstream news. Corporal didn't exist, who had 3 children and a golden retriever, was killed by Iran when they struck our military base. Now the war is real, because now they're putting a face to the battle. Now they're trying to get you emotionally invested. Now they want to have a real war with Iran, not a theatrical war. But if they say they struck our air base, there was no casualties, nothing was damaged, then they probably don't really want a real war.
This man is smart.
Sounds hard to believe because this stage is definitely set for some kind of attack and for the U.S. to make a move. Echelons of ETs that are also attendant on what's happening and realize that Israel is run by the Anunnaki. This is all throughout history, in the ancient writings and so forth, in the Enki Enlil stories that Zacharias Sitchin, among other people, translated from the Sumerian tablets, and so on. So with that in mind, whenever you're dealing with Israel, you're dealing with the Anunnaki. And I really wish that would become commonplace understanding around the world so that we can stop focusing on Israel so much as really it's a country and it is under the beck and call of the Anunnaki, and that is because their bloodline most closely resembles, I imagine, the Anunnaki. But it doesn't mean that they are in charge.
Oh my God. Please tell me this isn't true. What I just witnessed made me sick to my stomach. For the 99% of you that are weak, just click off the video right now, because what I'm about to show you will change everything. Now look, Adam Sandler is one of those people that just completely changed the game. Known as one of the best actors, constantly playing the dad roles, but that's honestly his best style. But then everything changed when he was offered to go on to Joe Rogan's podcast, where there he was asked about what he thought about the whole situation with Will Smith and Chris Rock. But his response has shocked the whole world, because we never expected somebody like Adam Sandler to say something like this. And now the question on everyone's mind, what will Will Smith say next?
He's been in so many banger movies. He's a blockbuster movie star. And people see him, they go, oh, he slapped Chris Rock. That guy
sucks. God damn it.
Terrible.
Man, it sucks, man. It follows you around. It sucks. But my man, Rock, and the Kinnisons, and that shit, when you spread it, that happens once every 8 years or something, where somebody becomes.
Ask him about pizza and Jennifer Aniston.
This is the Khajuraho Temple in India, and according to the mainstream, this was built between 885 and 1100 AD by the Chandela dynasty. Now, look at this. Remember, they're telling us that this was all hand done. No power tools, no cranes, no bulldozers, no lasers, nothing. Okay? Hand chisel. Look at all these people statues. There are 800 hand chiseled statues in this complex. This whole complex has about 85 monuments, or at least it was originally built with 85. Now there's only 25 of these tall things standing. Okay. Guys, look. Take a gander. No lasers. This is hand chiseled. Allegedly, they had thousands of workers and 215 years to pull it off. Now, they have to add a lot of time because this structure doesn't make sense to be hand chiseled. So they have to, oh yeah, it took 215 years. And then people are always like, well, they didn't have TikTok back then to waste time. So they're able to do, amazing things. You show me any structure today around the same size, around the same, amount of buildings, hand done like this. You show me that. You show me that. You're not going to be able to find that. Hand done. This whole place, this whole complex, they estimate that it was around 700,000 tons of sandstone. And the quarry is about 20 miles away. Okay? That's 1.4 billion pounds of sandstone. The foundation is granite. Who's moving 1.4 billion? Look at this, 1.4 billion pounds. And you guessed it, they moved all that weight, 1.4 billion pounds of sandstone with elephants and oxen. They hand chiseled all of it and just had those animals drag them with carts 20 miles. Okay. And okay, so remember, the sandstone blocks are blocks. And then somehow they stack these blocks up and then hand chisel them down from there. How do they hoist these blocks, these sandstone blocks on top of each other without cranes? They say they had pickaxes, hand chisels, hammers, mallets, and scaffolding. They didn't have any kind of advanced technology, but of course they did. Of course they did. There's no way they pulled this off, this perfect, beautiful, amazing structure without advanced technology. And some of you guys are confused. I feel like you all are thinking that I'm saying that ancient people couldn't do anything and they didn't have skill and all that. I'm saying the opposite of what you think I'm saying. I'm not saying people were incapable. I'm saying they were so capable. The Indian folks were so capable that they did not have to bust rocks with their bare hands. They were geniuses. They used magnetism. They used like rock softening technologies to be able to lighten things and move things around. Levitation devices. Who knows? I'm saying they were way smarter than people give them credit for. They're not doing this by hand. Look at that. They were able to perfect it and make it look perfect. You guys are trying to make them like bust rocks by hand and it'd take 215 years. No, it didn't take them 215 years to do this. They had technology, bro. So the point of this video is to get you to open your eyes and question the mainstream and to think critically. They're not doing this. Look at that. They're not doing that by hand. Ancient technology.
Are you a
We've been lied to since the beginning about everything.
turncoat? Are you like considered like a rat?
Yeah.
Are you a bad person in the industry?
I am not welcome in the Howard
Really?
halls anymore. No, I
They
lost
get
all
mad
my
at you?
faculty positions, and have
Why?
been the subject
Just
of a lot
for
of
being honest about this
criticism.
stuff?
Because I guess the kind of science that I bring to the table, which is not my own, I don't have any original ideas, but I am really good, I think, at curating information and collecting it and synthesizing and presenting it, right? So what I have to shine a light on is very inconvenient science for industry interests, but also for conventional practice, because I don't prescribe medication anymore under any circumstances ever, but I do have an entire practice devoted to taking people off of medication. So I have sort of my thing, and it's a lot based on lifestyle change, as you mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have your methodology as an alternative to prescribing, and you're going to acknowledge what a lot of the science says that condemns the pharmaceutical approach, what are you going to do instead? You just invested $200,000 of debt, blood, sweat, and tears, indentured servitude for like a decade of your training. You're just going to give that up, So it's a lot to expect the average psychiatrist to acknowledge anything beyond what's called like consensus medicine. It's called that because it doesn't even have a connection to the evidence. It's not evidence-based. It's just they all agree on it, and they're just going to keep doing it.
I truly believe in lifestyle changes, but what if you need antibiotics?